What's up, guys? It's your man, Donovan Sharp, and welcome to this edition of the Sharp Reality Live. As always, you guys can follow me on Twitter at Donovan_Sharp. You can visit donovansharp.com anytime to listen to all podcast episodes. I've got the entire archive there, so you can listen to every episode. You can listen to all of my appearances. You can listen to all of my live episodes, all of my previously recorded episodes, you can listen to everything. I've also got a few articles from my archive at Return of Kings. So if you guys want sort of a supplement to that, you can also check that out as well. I've got a section called Pod Picks where I've included screenshots of, me getting the boot by girls or trying to run game. Just a hodgepodge of different things. Be sure to sign up for my weekly newsletter. I send it out. I send it out every Sunday, and it's basically just a review of the past week's episodes, letting you know what's coming down the pike, things of that nature, just keeping you up to date on the goings on here at TSR. And of course, if you want to support the show at no cost to you, just bookmark that Amazon link in the sidebar of our home page and do all of your Amazon shopping through that link. Well, originally tonight, I was going to talk about the Erica Shank, the fat girl who graced the cover of Women's Running a couple of summers ago. But I was been listening to sports talk radio all day, which is something I normally do anyway. And the topic of the day was the Colin Kaepernick situation and why he still hasn't found a job in the NFL. Now, it's been a while. I mean, Colin Kaepernick has been a free agent for quite a while, but and there were grumblings that he may get blackballed by the NFL. In other words, there were pundits that said, hey, don't be surprised because of his political stance, the whole kneeling during the national anthem thing. Don't be surprised if NFL teams don't want him on their squads. And then there was another side that said, well, wait a minute. There's Tony Romo, Jay Cutler. Those guys are free agents. Let's wait till after the draft. Let's wait till all the smoke clears. And if Colin Kaepernick still doesn't have a job, then maybe we can talk a little bit more about the possibility of sort of an unspoken collusion by the owners. Well, that happened yesterday, and the way it happened was that Blaine Gabbert signed a one-year deal with the Arizona Cardinals to back up Carson Palmer. And those that don't follow sports as closely as I do, Blaine Gabbert's a terrible quarterback. He was Colin Kaepernick's backup last season. Blaine Gabbert I think he was like the 5th or 6th overall pick in the NFL draft a few years back by the Jacksonville Jaguars. He was a standout at the University of Missouri, but it became very clear about halfway through the season that Blaine Gabbert just didn't have what it takes. Andre Ware lit it up in 1989, was drafted by the Detroit Lions first overall, or near the top of the draft. He could not cut it in the NFL. Danny Warfel put up insane numbers at the University of Florida. He was bad. Gino Torretta, quarterback for the Miami Hurricanes in the early 90s, he lit it up, won a Heisman Trophy, national championship. He couldn't cut it. So Blaine Gabbert lighting it up in college. Tim Tebow, same deal. So Blaine Gabbert lighting it up in college and then not being able to cut it in the NFL because the game is faster, more sophisticated, etc. That's no surprise to anybody. What has surprised people and what started the topic du jour today about the collusion is that Blaine Gabbert has found a job quicker than Colin Kaepernick. There are also people within the Kaepernick camp that says that teams have not one team has so much as reached out to him to find out where his head is at, find out what his demands are in terms of salary, what he's doing. His camp is saying that Colin Kaepernick is working out 5 days a week. He wants to play football. He loves to play football, but the phone isn't ringing. Now, let's call a spade here, guys. The NFL owners have decided that they are not going to bring Colin Kaepernick into the fold. That doesn't necessarily mean that can't happen here within the next few weeks or couple of months, because training camp is coming up. there are injuries all the time. The Teddy Bridgewater injury last season during training camp, the freak injury to Teddy Bridgewater, that sent the Minnesota Vikings into a tailspin. They needed a quarterback, so they traded for Sam Bradford. They traded Sam Bradford, who was on the Eagles, and he ended up being their quarterback. So Kaepernick could find himself in a situation where a starter goes down, and they need a viable backup who has played in a Super Bowl, who has been on good teams. And by all accounts, is a decent quarterback. Be that as it may, he's being blackballed by the league, and there's no question about it. If the writing's on the wall, and people are saying, well, Kaepernick's no good. No, Kaepernick's actually, he's not that bad. He threw 16 touchdown passes, only 4 interceptions last year. 2015, yeah, he was shitty. But never forget, guys, Colin Kaepernick started and played in Super Bowl 47 and lost a very close game to the Baltimore Ravens in a very good Super Bowl, and was one Richard Sherman tip away from going back to the Super Bowl. He absolutely destroyed the Green Bay Packers in 2 straight years in the playoffs at Lambeau Field. He cut up that defense like nobody's ever seen. So it's not like Kaepernick doesn't have the talent. Yeah, he regressed a little bit because Jim Harbaugh is now the coach at the University of Michigan. But by all accounts, Colin Kaepernick is, now that Tony Romo and Jay Cutler now are broadcasters, he is the best available quarterback, at least for a backup. But he still hasn't been picked up by an NFL team. So my question is, at this point, is there collusion? Well, of course there's collusion. We've already established that. Is it fair that he's being colluded against? Is it fair that he's being blackballed? Kind of depends on who you are and what the situation is. We tell girls all the time, if you're a hoe, if you're a slut, you're the only thing guys are going to look for in you is a quick fuck, and then you're out. We tell girls all the time, if you're a slut, if you have a high notch count, then men of value they're not going to wife you up. They're not going to want to put a ring on it. They're not going to want anything from you outside of sex. And girls may say, well, that's not fair. We've been sold a bad bill of goods by feminism. Or they'll say, well, you know what? My notch count doesn't matter. It's not fair that I can't find a boyfriend who is worthy of my respect and love. But guys like myself, we say, yeah, it is fair. You've been warned. So is it fair that Colin Kaepernick's being blackballed by the NFL? Is it wrong for teams to not sign him for fear of the proverbial media storm that would happen if they were to sign him? Absolutely not. See, here's the thing, guys. I'm an African-American male, and what Colin Kaepernick protested against last year was the police brutality, the recent shootings. I mean, listen, we all hear and see the news. We know that white cops are killing unarmed black people, and that's not what this podcast is about. But I'm an African-American male, and this affects me directly. I'm fortunate enough never to have been the victim of police brutality, but hey, I mean, I'm a black male, I drive a nice car, and I've been profiled more than a few times. Matter of fact, 4 or 5 weeks ago, I got pulled over by a cop because I had an improper license plate on the front of my vehicle. I got one of those cool one of those elongated rectangular European plates on the front of my car. And in the state of Nevada, it is the law to have license plates on the front and the back. Well, there are millions of people driving in the state of Nevada that don't have a license plate in the front, but I've never seen those people get pulled over. Yet a black man driving a nice car with an quote improper license plate, he swerved around, pulled me over. My car ended up getting impounded. That's just the way this goes. So I'm not going to sit here and say that Colin Kaepernick had no right to do what he did. I'm not going to sit here and say, well, I'm not going to make this into it was a bullshit cause. No. What he protested is absolutely an issue. And anybody who says that it's not an issue are just not affected by it. And that's not wrong. I don't expect white people to empathize or even acknowledge what we as African-American men go through. That's not y'all's. If you're a white person here listening to this, that's not your problem. And I don't hold that against you. I'm never going to say, well, black people are brutalized by the cops every day and you should know. No. White people don't do any of that stuff. It is not your responsibility. This is our problem, and we will solve it. Yes, it would be great if we got help from other areas, but at the end of the day, our problems are our fucking problems. So I'm not going to put it on any race to solve our problems for us. That's not what we're here for. Because as a man, I'm damn sure not going to help a woman with her quote unquote problems. Fuck that. You're a woman, you deal with it. Your problem, your issue. I'm out of that. The point is this, though. You can't have it both ways. And the reason I say that is I listen to Fox Sports 1 and I listen to ESPN Radio. And yes, I've railed against ESPN Radio, but they still have a lot of programming I like. Dan Le Batard is a social justice warrior of the highest order, but he's a talented broadcaster. He has a funny show. He offers a different point of view. Bomani Jones, same thing. He is extraordinarily talented on the radio. Love his show. He actually made me laugh quite a bit today. But even with this Colin Kaepernick thing, he sort of rubbed me the wrong way. And here's why. ESPN wants to publicly flog teams and drag the name of a player through the mud who makes sexist remarks or are accused of domestic violence. For example, Jameis Winston, I think last summer, was talking at a school. And he said something to the effect of boys need to be strong and girls need to be quiet. Well, of course, ESPN lost their fucking mind because that, of course, doesn't fit into the liberal agenda. But when a player speaks out about a topic regarding the liberal agenda, then they want to shame the actual league for not wanting to sign a player to avoid the media circus that they themselves would inflict. You see how that works? You can't have it both ways. You can't chastise a player for going against the liberal agenda, and then a player goes with the liberal agenda, but then you shame the organizations for not tolerating it. Okay? NFL teams, NFL players, the NFL, they don't have to tolerate anything. Yes, Colin Kaepernick exercised his First Amendment right to the freedom of speech. But what a lot of these freedom fighters, these social justice warriors seem to conveniently forget is that the pendulum swings both ways. The NFL and NFL owners are also protected under the Constitution. And while it's perfectly well within Kaepernick's constitutional rights to protest whatever issue he wants, well, guess what? The NFL owners, the NFL GMs, it is well within their constitutional right to respond in kind if they see fit. Yes, cops brutalizing black people, profiling them. Yes, this is a problem, okay? But Kaepernick has made his bed, and now he has to live with the consequences, okay? And anytime you protest anything, regardless of what side you're on, there is a price. There's a price to be paid. You don't get the protest for free. Roos just released a book called Free Speech Isn't Free, and he could not be more right. Yes, you have an absolute right to speak your mind, tell it like it is, how you see the world, etc., etc. But there's another side that if they disagree with you, they can offer a differing opinion, and they have every right to say what they want to say. Every protest, especially for professional athletes and public figures, comes with a price. Ask Tommy Smith and John Carlos. Okay? Google it. Tommy Smith and John Carlos. Those are the guys that held up their fists in the name of Black Power at the 1968 Olympics in Mexico City. When they came back stateside, they were ridiculed. I think John Carlos's wife left and they couldn't find work. I mean, they were shunned by society. We can say that that's wrong. We can say that that's unfair, but that's the price you pay. You don't get to be Captain fucking America protester without paying some sort of price. That's how everything is. Nothing is free. Freedom isn't free. Ask Craig Hodges. Craig Hodges used to play for the Chicago Bulls. He went to the White House back when George H.W. Bush was in office wearing a dashiki and gave George H.W. Bush, this is Bush the Elder, George W. Bush's father, then President George Herbert Walker Bush, gave him a list of things that he could do for the black community. Craig Hodges never played another minute in the NBA. Was there collusion involved? You better fucking believe it. And anybody who denies it is being intellectually dishonest. Is it wrong for the NBA to have blackballed him for exercising his freedom of speech? That's not for me to say, but I know it's not against the law. Ask Muhammad Ali. He didn't want to go to war for whatever. He didn't want to go to war because it was against his religion. And I'm going to do a podcast on this Muhammad Ali thing. He was absolutely a draft dodger. Muhammad Ali did many heroic things. Dodging the draft was not one of them. To me, that was a thinly veiled attempt at just getting out of a war, and he hid behind religion and social justice to hide what was really going on. Muhammad Ali didn't want to go to war and get his leg blown off in the prime of his career, and I can't say I blame him. But for us to act like what he did was noble and true of heart, that's disingenuous. And I'll be doing a podcast on that here real soon. The point is that professional athletes, any public figure, if they take a political stance, if they protest anything, whether it's police brutality, social justice, feminism, or misogyny, whatever the case may be, there is a price to be paid. Colin Kaepernick, once again, and listen, he played his college ball right down the road from where I'm at right now, right here at UNR, University of Nevada, Reno. Kaepernick was well within his rights to protest the way he did. And some people say, well, it's not that I don't have anything against what he protested. It's how no. You're just uncomfortable with what he protested with. And again, I don't expect white people to empathize or even sympathize with black people for being brutalized and profiled by the cops. That's not y'all's problem. So that's perfectly fine. I'll never hold anybody accountable for something that doesn't affect them directly. I'm a selfish son of a bitch, and it would be disingenuous of me not to expect everyone else to be selfish, which most of us are. I'm just one of the few people that admits I'm just a selfish son of a bitch. I don't really give a shit about anybody but myself. I mean, outside of my family and other people I care about. You can't protest for free. There's always a price. Take Donald Sterling. Donald Sterling is the former owner of the Los Angeles Clippers, and as we all know, one of his side chicks, V. Stiviano, recorded him in a racial tirade. It was unbelievable. We were all horrified, and he was subsequently stripped of the ownership of the LA Clippers. Steve Ballmer, former CEO of Microsoft, came in and bought the team. What happened to Donald Sterling was absolutely against the law and unconstitutional. Is Donald Sterling a reprehensible human being? Yeah. Is Donald Sterling a racist? You better fucking believe it. But it is not against the law to be a reprehensible human being, and it's not against the law to be a racist. It's not against the law for Colin Kaepernick to protest Black Lives Matter or police brutality or racial profiling or anything else that black people go through on a daily basis at the hands of the cops. But by the same token, we can't sit here and judge the NFL. We can't judge the NFL owners. We can't judge the NFL GMs for not signing him. This was Colin Kaepernick's choice. Team owners can do whatever they want for whatever reason, so long as it's not illegal. And blackballing a player because they don't want to have to deal with the media circus, that's not against the law. They're doing exactly what they need to do to preserve the peace. If he were a better quarterback, like if he were say Tom Brady, yeah, he'd be on a football team. But he's not. Colin Kaepernick is a decent NFL quarterback. He's not good enough to get away with protesting. He's just not. There have been many athletes that have protested like a couple summers ago. LeBron James, Chris Bosh, D. Wade, they all came out in those black shirts. I can't breathe. well, they still play. I mean, listen, they're all still millionaires. They're still in the NBA. Now, of course, that has to do with the collective bargaining agreement. NFL contracts are not guaranteed. NBA contracts are not. The NBA is clearly a players' league. The NFL is about the shield. Players have zero leverage in the NFL. So while I admire Kaepernick for what he did, he doesn't have enough talent to pull off what he tried to pull off, and he's in the wrong league. Hell, if he played baseball, he might have gotten away with it. Their contracts are guaranteed. But because he was the wrong, he protested the right thing, but he was in the wrong league, and he does not have enough talent to get away with that. Got a comment here from Brandon Williams. He says, Exploration Day. You're a black man today. You can't speak out too much. All you do is set an expiration date for yourself. Yeah, I would agree. That's and again, that's the price we pay. you can't expect to speak out and nothing happen. If you speak out against something like this, there is going to be some sort of blowback. It is a mathematical inevitability. And if there's no blowback, then you haven't made an impact. That's just how it goes. For example, I mean, look, I have a Red Pill podcast. And toward the end of the summer, I'm going to start doing videos. So yes, the world is going to know what Donovan Sharp looks like. The reason I'm not showing my face now is because there are plenty of people who would be severely negatively affected if my true identity were to get out there. So at this point in time, I'm making sure that I tie up those loose ends to make sure that I'm more or less, it's a lot more complicated than that. The point is I know that there's a price to be paid. I can get on here and I can say bitches ain't shit and feminism sucks and girls are hoes and you have to train them like dogs and all that. Yeah, that's all well and good and people give me high fives, but guess what? There's a price to be paid. And right now, the price that I pay is my anonymity. At the end of the summer, I'm not going to have that anymore. People are going to know what I look like. I'm going to open myself up to criticism. I'm going to open myself up to all kinds of things. I know what it is going in. I don't think Colin Kaepernick did. I don't think that Colin Kaepernick ever thought to himself, kneeling for the national anthem in protest of police brutality against black men in America would ever land him in this spot. I think his heart was definitely in the right place because it is a real problem. That's for sure. But the fact of the matter is that I don't think he was prepared for not only the blowback, I don't think he was prepared to get blackballed from the league. Now, in my opinion, I think he will eventually get picked up by an NFL team. He's extraordinarily talented. Like I said, he's a decent quarterback. He'll find a spot on somebody's roster as a backup. Maybe if somebody's backup gets hurt, Kaepernick will probably find himself a job. But it's not gonna be a slam dunk decision for the GM. I think the only market where Colin Kaepernick could probably get a job as a backup and not cause any media backlash, probably Atlanta. Listen, Matt Ryan won the NFL MVP last year. I don't even know who his backup is, but if his backup went down and the Atlanta Falcons were to pick up Colin Kaepernick, that market would have no problem with that because Atlanta is the black Mecca. And most Atlanta Falcons fans, as far as I know, like when I look in the stands, I lived there twice. Most of them are African American. Most of them can identify with being profiled by the police brutality, et cetera, et cetera. So they probably wouldn't have a problem with that. The New England Patriots, on the other hand, I think it was like a week and a half ago, I did an episode about how Adam Jones was being called a nigger by Boston Red Sox fans. So it's clear, and listen, that's not an isolated incident. Boston fans are fucking racist. And if there are any people from Boston listening to this, you guys know you have racist fans. It's not to say that all people in Boston are racist, but dude, the proof's in the pudding. Do any Google search racist Boston fans from as far back as Bill Russell in the 60s to Robert Parrish who played for the Boston Celtics. Listen, Boston has a long history of racism. And my guess is that Colin Kaepernick probably will never play for the New England Patriots. But if the team is desperate enough, they'll certainly give him a look at the very least. But like I said before, it's not going to be a slam dunk decision. And look, this is his bed. He made his bed. He has to lay in it. I admire him for what he did because I'm going to tell you what, if I were him, I wouldn't have said shit. No way. As strongly as I feel about police brutality, look, man, I'm not looking a gift horse in the mouth. I think he was making $19 million a year at one point. I would never put that in jeopardy. So Kaepernick, to his credit, he's got bigger nuts than I do because I would never do what he did because I would know what's going to happen on the other side. So Listen, I applaud him for what he did. He brought a lot of attention to a serious issue here in America, and he's doing things in the community. Like he's putting his own money up. I heard he has a program that gives suits to men who get out of prison so they can go find a job. Like he's not just talking shit, man. He's putting his money where his mouth is. Unfortunately, unfortunately for him, he didn't understand the price that he had to pay. Looks like Taylor Walston says he could go to Oakland. Oh, there. Hey, good. Hey, you know what, Taylor? You are absolutely right. The Oakland fan base would absolutely take him in. Cincinnati as well. The Buffalo Bills, I don't know. I don't know if the Buffalo Bills. I don't know if they're a black-friendly team. I mean, their quarterback right now is Tyrod Taylor, but Seattle's quarterback is Russell Wilson, and listen, they hate Colin Kaepernick because he torched him quite a bit when he was in San Francisco. But you listen, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Oakland, Cincinnati, I 100% agree. So my bad for missing out on those couple of teams. So yeah, Atlanta, Oakland, and Cincinnati. Those are the teams. Those are the markets I feel like that Kaepernick could go without suffering, without a lot of fanfare, without a lot of the blowback from the fans. Maybe I was going to say Tampa, but I don't think so. I think those are pretty much the only 3 markets that he could go to. Let's see. Taylor says again, he's mixed that didn't have to go down that road. Yeah, listen, Colin Kaepernick, he is a mixed kid. His mother gave him up for adoption, and he was raised by a white family in Wisconsin. I don't know how Colin Kaepernick came up. I'm not with him 24/7. I don't think he's ever been racially profiled by the cops, but we don't know that. Listen, as a black man, I'm glad he stood up for us, even if he doesn't go through it. And it's so funny, like people, I've heard people say when this whole thing was going down last summer, well, if he's worth $19 million, he's Colin Kaepernick, he doesn't have to worry about getting profiled by the cops. And you would be dead fucking wrong. Take the average black NFL player. Do you know what Chandler Jones looks like? Huh? Chandler Jones he's an NFL defensive end, the brother of John Bones Jones, who, by the way, is going to fight Daniel Cormier in UFC 14. It's been confirmed today. You don't know what Chandler Jones looks like. Dude, the cops pull him over. He's a fucking 6'6", 265-pound defensive end. Cops will light his ass up like a fucking Christmas tree. Oh, wait a minute. You make $16 million a year? Let's not racially profile you, please. Give me a break. So anybody who makes the argument that, well, they're rich, so they don't. No, man. No. Black is black, man. But that's not what this is about. I'll do that podcast on another day and time, but that's not what this is about. What this is about is accepting the fact that, yes, Colin Kaepernick is absolutely being blackballed by the NFL. There's no doubt about it. The writing's on the wall. But on the other side of the coin, the NFL GMs, and NFL owners are well within their rights to do so. That's all there is to it. We can bitch and moan about it, but this is what it is. Let's see. Master Old School Writer says maybe the Texans. Houston. Yeah, the Houston Texans did just draft Deshaun Watson. And Houston does have a large black population. I think it could probably go to Houston. Houston would have to have a strong front office. They would have to have very smart people working in the front office to come up with a plan on how to present Kaepernick to the public. So that's definitely a good one. The Jaguars, absolutely not. No. See, because here's the deal: Jacksonville, that's in northern Florida, which is southern Georgia. Right? East Alabama. All right? Don't get it twisted, guys. Jacksonville, Florida, that's an extension of the Deep South. South Florida, that's a little bit different. That has more of a Latin influence, people a little more open-minded, but the Bible Belt, the Mason-Dixon line, that Mississippi, Louisiana, northern Florida, oh, no. No, they're not having that in Jacksonville. Absolutely not. Well, guys, that concludes this edition of the Sharp Reality Live. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at Donovan_Sharp. Go to donovansharp.com anytime to listen to all podcast episodes. My thanks to all of my commenters. Taylor, coming up big time. Oakland and Cincinnati. I didn't even think about that. So good suggestion there. Mr. Old School Writer, absolutely the Texans. Willie Youngblood, good try, close but no cigar. The Jacksonville Jaguars would, especially with Tom Coughlin in that front office, no fucking way. That just wouldn't work. Brandon Williams, thank you for your comment as well. I thank you guys all for taking the time out of your day to listen to the Sharp Reality. Tune in tomorrow night where I will do tonight's episode tomorrow. I'm going to talk about a fat chick who was on the cover of Runner's magazine and the hamster-laden interview that she partook in. It was fucking hilarious. Again, visit donovansharp.com anytime. Be sure to like the video. If you like what you hear, subscribe to my channel. If you like what you hear, shoot me a donation. Or if you're a little low on cash, just bookmark the Amazon link at the sidebar of your homepage. Everybody shops on Amazon. Even homeless people shop on Amazon. Just bookmark that link. Do all your Amazon shopping through that link, and you will be supporting the show at no cost to you. That does it for this edition of The Sharp Reality. Thanks for listening.